Hello YouTube, this is HengarX. I'm going to make a deck update about my Yu-Gi-Oh! Mule deck, which was a really fun deck to play with. I enjoy it a lot. It's kind of like Exodia kind of thing, because you do everything on your turn, and your opponent is like just like, oh, what the hell. But yeah, it's really good. So let's start off the deck. I still run a Morphine Jar because he's the main engine of the deck. Morphine Jar is pretty crazy. He refills your hand and discards your entire hand, which it will do the same thing to your opponent and work at your advantage. Also, it's Sangan. He searches for every single monster in this deck, and his main priority is to get Morphine Jar to your hand so you can start the engine as soon as possible. Two Necrophases. Necrophase is the second engine of the deck. It also, since the meta right now, it's mostly graveyard control. You want to remove all that graveyard and then cripple them even more by removing their monsters and just throwing them in the graveyard. But she's really good in this build. 3 Needleworms. Needleworm is just a mill deck special. I mean, a staple, yeah, special staple. He has to be in here because he's just too good to not have him in here. 2 Morphine Jar number 2s. I cut back on one. I took one out because 3 of them seemed a little too slow, and my opponent didn't really have that many. Well, it was less with the current meta. He's less useful, and also he can mill you out as well, which he can be a backstabber sometimes. So 2 is great for when you need him only. Mask of Darkness. I run a lot of traps, so he's really good to recycle the traps. Plus, he's a dark, so you can use him as an allure target for draw power, draw into your Morphine Jar and stuff. Night Assailant. He's really great. He's a dark for allure, and he has a flip effect, kind of like Raikou, but doesn't mill anything. He just destroys a face-up monster. And when he is sent from your hand to the graveyard, you get to add a flip effect back to your hand, which will most likely be Morphine Jar, and reuse them again and again. Or Needleworm if your opponent has low cards. For the draw engine, I have 2 Gold Sarcophagus. I combo this with either to search out a Morphine Jar, my priority, or to search out Necrophase, and this removes Necrophase. So right there and then you have to discard 5 cards because I was playing a Lightstorm guy, and then I was out of cards and out of hand, and he had a JD and everything, but full life points. And I top decked Gold Sarcophagus, and then I played Gold Sarcophagus, and he's like, "Oh, so it's my game." And I was like, "Oh, maybe." He was like, "Why?" Because I'm not gonna get my card to my hand in 2 turns, and he had OTK already. But I removed the Necrophase, and he didn't have cards to remove for it, so I won that duel. Top deck Gold Sarc for the win. 2 of them. 2 Allure Darkness. Once you Gold Sarc back a Necrophase, you allure back out and draw 2 cards, and then remove from play 5 cards, which is a great deck out. Plus the draw power. You gotta be careful how you use your draw power though, because it can screw you. Card destruction. I like using this card when I have like 1 card in my hand, and my opponent has like 5. Make him discard and draw a lot. I changed from 2 Book of Taiyu to 3, simply because it makes the deck a lot much faster. With Morphine Jar, you keep booking Morphine Jar and or Needleworm, whatever it's more needed at the moment. I also changed from 1 Book of Moon to 3, just because with 3 Book of Taiyus, you need 3 Book of Moons to chain Book of Moon to Taiyu and flip the flip effect back down and reuse them. Also to that, I have a 3 Book of Eclipse. It's also a stall, plus it flips your monsters face down, and it flips your opponent's face down, and it gives them draw power at the end phase, which they can't use those cards during the end phase, so it doesn't matter because you could just flip again Morphine Jar and get rid of them. I also added a Swallow's Grave. he's great because when that Morphing Jar hits the graveyard, you can special summon him back on defense, face down defense, but your opponent gets to do the same. So you gotta make sure your opponent doesn't have a really nasty monster in their graveyard before you use it. Or if you do, get like a Morphing Jar number 2 and return it. It's really good. Also with the meta, I added 2-dimensional fissures, just because a lot of decks benefit from the deck. So you just throw them to remove out of play, and then they're gonna have to waste like a capsule or something to come back. And even so, it doesn't let monsters return, so it can stall your opponent out with the meta. And it's really great since you send stuff out of play instead of to the graveyard. It also helps you because sometimes you draw into that necrophase and you don't need her, so you can just discard her with Morphing Jar and she gets removed, and then you have to dump another 5, and then your opponent has to do the same. So it helps you a lot. I was citing this on my last build, but I decided to main them because they're just so good. Also, for skill drain removal, you got the Heavy Storm and the MST. MST is pretty the Heavy Storm and the Giant Tornado. Giant Tornado is pretty much like a Heavy, because you return all their spell and traps to the hand, then you flip a Morphing Jar and you get rid of them anyway. So it's really good. Now the traps. Got 3 Threatening Roars. I like Threatening Roars because they deck out Lightstorm every time, and they protect your monsters from any type of attacks, and it's chainable, so it's really great. To that, I have 3 Wabokus. It also stops Lightstorm from OTKing, anything from OTKing, and gives you another chance to come back with any flip effect that you need. The Solemn of the deck is 2 Dark Bribes. I had 3, but I took 1 out because 3 was too much, and 2 is just right. It negates a spell or trap, which you can negate their Heavy Storm or something pretty dangerous, and they draw 1 card for it. So it's also a deck out because they get a +1, which is a -1 on their deck. So that's what you're looking for. And this is supposed to be a Mirror Force, yeah. But I let my friend borrow my Mirror Force, so yeah, it's supposed to be a Mirror Force. Torrential works fine as well. Although, nah, this is supposed to be a Mirror Force. Proxy Mirror Force, yeah. I'll get it back later. But yeah, this is my new and improved for the meta deck out deck. It's really fun, and it kind of makes your opponent be like, man, you need to play fair and shit. But hey, they OTK with JD, blow up and stuff. They're not playing fair also, so just deck them out. Alright, this is HengarX. And yeah, this is my mill deck updated. Hope you guys like it. Rate, comment, subscribe, and yeah, have fun.